Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Light and Love here, Eddie Pabon, coming to bring you some value today. Happy Friday to you. I'm going to be joining the beautiful Julissa Edwards to talk about happiness from within. Today is part 3 of our discussion. So let's get Julissa on and let's get this show on the road. Hello, hello, Sofrita Media Group. Hello, Herbert. Hello everyone. Where is Julissa? Let's get on. We'll get started. I hope you know that you are blessed by nature of being here today to exchange energy. We are blessed to be in each other's presence. Hey, Miss Carrie, baby, how you doing?
Can you see me?
Oh, hi. So I had the little comment thing up and it was like covering you. So in my mind, I was still in my own little world here. Hey,
Happy
how you
Friday.
doing?
I'm good. I'm like really refreshed this morning, so I'm doing great.
Yeah, me too. Definitely. I'm feeling all kind of lit. Let me turn off Bluetooth. For some reason, my watch, which is supposed to be an add-on, makes the sound go lower. Just real quick, say something.
Something.
Yes. Okay, we're back. So, so I'm glad you're feeling good. Today we're going to talk about some heavy stuff, folks. So I want to give you a disclaimer. Our intention here is to motivate you, give you some inspiration, talk about some real world things, and really ultimately the goal is to provide you with some tools to find happiness from within, right? To sort of dig deep inside and deal with some stuff, process some things, and so in a healthy way. And so Julissa and I have made ourselves available to you out of our busy schedules to bring this discussion free live on Instagram. And we have some programs and things we'll be talking about later that we're going to be offering you all. We're really excited about. But for now, we should get to today's discussion. What are we talking about today, Julissa?
We are going to be talking about loss and appropriate ways to deal with loss. And I think we both came together because we're always in sync, me and Eddie, and we were both just like, yeah, like we haven't been okay, like, and that is okay.
Yeah.
Like with everything going on for me in the world and then with you or something more personal, right? Like it was just like we were just off. And I think we need to tell individuals more that it's part of being human and it's completely normal. And we just want to give you guys some really quick tips on how to move through those phases of your life, but not wanting to rush it per se, just accepting it for what it is, learning from it, and then that's how we heal, right? But we have to go through it. So that's what today's convo is going to be about.
Yes, yes, ma'am. So I love this because we're both, like Julissa said, we sort of have similar energies. We both have like this science background mixed with like this spiritual us energy that we bring to the mix, right? And this sort of holistic approach to sort of assessing, analyzing, and targeting challenges that people have. So loss can be considered a heavy topic, right? So again, the disclaimer here is we're going to try to keep the vibe. We're going to try to, you might see us smiling and being like live, but you know, we'll be talking about some heavy stuff. So don't confuse the two things with being disconnected.
Right.
I don't want to bring you guys down. We want to lift you up, right? But the reality of loss is that loss is heavy to begin with, right?
Mhm.
The feelings that sort of come to mind when thinking about loss. Um, for me, at least, right, thinking about my own losses, it's like frustration, feeling powerless, right? Feeling like this that you have no power, no control over things, and we love to control stuff as humans, don't we? So it can be not only challenging, it can be disheartening, you can feel defeated, you start to feel isolated, alone, right?
Yeah.
Depression, anxiety, what's going to happen next.
Regret.
um,
That's how we both can like communicate and how like we do the back and forth of not being here, right? It's just like, oh my God, I should have done X, Y, and Z. So if it's the person that you lost, like I should have done this with this person, I should have let them know how I felt and all the things. And then that regret and shame portraying to your future, making you really not want to reach out to others, not want to reach out to loved ones, and making you isolate. So it's just the battle of just like not being here. And if we're talking about being here, being present in the loss, right? I wanna let you guys know that there are so many healthy ways to deal with grief and loss, but just because they're healthy doesn't mean that you're like on cloud nine.
Yeah, like, yay, I lost. Like, it never happens that way.
Right. You have to go through it. You have to go through it. It's a process. But just know that it's a beautiful thing, even though it's super, super sad. Hi, Mom. It is a beautiful thing. She's
That's Mom?
Yeah, that's Mom.
Hi, Mom! I
Yeah.
love it. We have motherly energy here. Bring some wisdom, Mom.
Yeah. But yeah, Eddie, so you go. Let me know when you want us to go into like coping skill stuff, because I'm ready. Now let's
Yeah, so, interesting. I mean, I think we'll cover all that stuff, right? We got a whole hour ahead of us. I think so you said something significant, and I like to sort of just make this a conversation style situation. If you want to get more into like providing tools and stuff, we have those in our programs. But
Right.
we'll give you some gems here for sure. But I mean, you said something about like regret and woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? And I always have folks constantly asking me for advice about things, which can be a little tricky because we ask for advice, but we really have the answers within, right? So I sort of always try to shift the energy back, like, what do you think you should do? Because I can tell you whatever I think, but I'm not you, and I'm not living your situation, and feel, taste, touch, breathe that reality daily, right? So you tell me what you would do, and let me see, maybe, if I can help you piece that out. But
Right.
the woulda, coulda, shoulda is a really big thing that we have to think about. We are so caught up a lot of times in minuscule things, little things that really are meaningless, and all of it is small stuff at the end of the day, right? And we have tiffs with other human beings, be it our loved ones, friends, relationships, moms, dads, whomever, right? People that we love the most, we tend to have really deep feelings towards when things are not in flow, when there's discord and energy, right? And we argue with one another, we fight with one another, and we almost feel that sense of loss in that disconnectivity, right? But we always take for granted the reality that we're alive, and we sort of have this misperception that tomorrow is promised. So we'll just get to healing from that later.
Yeah.
We'll get to processing it later. And lo and behold, later may not come for either of you, right? Or for one of you. And so then my message becomes, in terms of coping, right? I think coping is like a reactionary sort of coping is great. It's natural. And we're going to talk about that. But I would like to talk about preempting things and designing your life to where you're so mindful and in the moment that you can acknowledge that it is a small thing that you're giving a lot of energy to, whatever it is, and that if this person that you're having this discord with is some kind of meaningful to you, if you love them and something happened to them within the next 5 minutes, how important would this argument have been?
Yes. Oh my goodness. You're just hitting so many nails on the head. So like I also do therapy, and I just had this couple who was going through it. And like, hello, we fight, people fight, like it's normal. It's a part of life. But it was just getting really petty. And I'm like super blunt in my like therapy. So I'm just like, this is petty. Like, stop. I was letting both the husband and wife know. It was just like, guys, like, look at what's happening in the world today. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is so much, this was a Black couple. Like, there are already so many, like, things pointed against us. Like, do we really have to have our spouses against us too? Like, come on now. Like, listen, if this was like it was a small issue. If it was a bigger, deeper issue, yeah, we have to work through that. But like for small, minuscule things, like, come on, guys. Like, today, it's not every day that I wake up like this, but on most days, I really try to be just grateful that I woke up. Grateful that I am awake and that I get to live another day. You know, like it sounds so like minuscule, but it's that important. Like I get to see another day. I get to connect with beautiful humans another day. You know, I get to live my life. I get to laugh. I get to, even if I'm crying, I get to feel emotions that day.
Yep. You get to be here, which is a gift in itself. And a lot of people are like, oh, I've heard people 1 p.m. Oh, today is just a bad day. No, it's not. it's bad is subjective. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, switch the lens. You're alive. You're able to communicate
Yes.
that you're having what you feel like is a bad day. And that in itself, my friend, is a blessing, because there are people out there who are alive but cannot communicate in the moment because they're debilitated, right? For whatever reason. So, I mean, constantly keeping, like, not to be negative about it, but for me personally, like, taking back from experience, everything that I bring to the table is always from personal experience, you know, and I talk about this in my book, and I talk about this freely with anyone else. It's no secret to anyone. If you follow me, I lost my mom like 14 years ago, and that to me really was a heavy shift in consciousness, because she always told me to appreciate one another, to live life in the moment, and to be there for the ones that you love no matter what. But she and I were in discord because she'd done things for herself and for her life that I never agreed with, right? You want to know more? Read the book. But the point is, I spent most of my life being a child that was like really super respectful and a mama's boy. So I loved her to death no matter what. But when I got older and started to become conscious about the realities of the cycles that we were living
Yeah.
and didn't agree with them, we started to have tiffs. And this is not something that's unlikely or unseen in other families. I'm sure if you're watching this, you've had some sort of a disagreement with someone in your family, be it mom, dad, or brother, sister, whomever, right?
Yeah.
And so when we started to argue, there was a shift, and for me it was like, you know what, I'm going to teach her a lesson, and I'm going to stop being mama's boy, and I'm going to start being cold with her, because I want her to learn, right? And that was my approach at 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
And then I found her, not to be too heavy, but when I found my mom dead in my room, for me there was no more later. That's it. She's gone, right? So 14 years later now, I find myself at times, you know, once in a blue, just thinking about her and woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? And so I bring that reality into every one of my relationships now. I'm not perfect. You know, I have feelings, and I would like better. I would like for everyone to think the way that I think, right? We all have the perfect life and the perfect roadmap. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
We all can do no wrong. But she's not here anymore. So I say that to say, really think about the person that you had an issue with, right? Really think about the last big thing, problem, disagreement, fight, whatever you had with someone that you love, be it a partner, a family member, whomever, and think about whether or not, if they passed in the next 5 minutes, what you would feel like, how you would feel, whether or not you would still be engaged in this feeling of, fuck that, I'm going to teach them, or, you know, no, I was right, and you need to admit that they're wrong. Think about whether or not, if they were here anymore, how you'd feel, you know?
Yeah. Something that I want to bring to light too, like that sense of like revenge, or I'm going to show you, like that's so typical, especially in young individuals or even adults. And what I will challenge everyone to say is, like, if you hate anybody in your life, if you strongly dislike someone, if you're not getting along with someone, just understand from a psychological perspective, they're triggering you, right?
Hmm.
They're triggering you, if it's almost like if you're allowing them to trigger you, that means that they hold some kind of importance in your life, right?
Not only
It's
that, they're reminding you, I was told, and maybe you help me out on here, Julissa, but usually when you have a heavy feeling about what someone else is doing, deep inside, there's something in there that reminds them of something about you that you don't like about yourself.
always us. We are the problem. Always. I say, like Joyce in the fact, like, I am the problem. Like, it is okay. The faster you recognize that, the quicker you can heal. But just to bring it, because that's like deep, deep, deep. So then just like to bring it back a little bit, right? So like the triggers, yeah. The trigger, we won't go there today. The triggers, like if somebody is triggering you, they have to have some type of power over you. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just want you guys to just accept that, right? Like if a stranger were to tell me that I'm ugly versus my mom, she ever told me, she never did. If she ever told me that I was ugly, like it would hurt so much more. You're my mom. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Someone that loves me and you're telling me I'm ugly, right? Versus a stranger on the street telling me I'm ugly. I'm like, okay, F you, whatever. I'm going to keep it pushing. It may bother me a little bit, but when people say certain things that really, really hurt you, like there's a connection there. That's why it hurts you, right? So
Yes.
to anyone that, we have to read some comments, some earlier comments too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that next, and I have a response to this too. Okay.
Like, but to anyone who has triggered you, just know that there's probably love there, whether you like it or not, whether you like it or not. So if, to Eddie's question, right, if you, whoever you are in like conflict with, if they were gone tomorrow, and we don't want to be like super dreary, but like honestly, guys, tomorrow's never promised, right? So like if they were gone tomorrow, would you be okay with the way that you handle things? And like, it's just, it can be that simple of a question to be like, ugh, let me realign myself.
And also, how much? Okay, so yeah, how much would I grow if what is there to learn from this,
Right,
right?
right.
So we have Maria. It's very important and a gift. I struggle with seizures awake and while I sleep. I could die every day. Wow. When I wake up, it's a blessing because I could have not made it. Very grateful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Maria. Like that is a perfect example. Like this is someone who has an adversity, as we all do, has a challenge, has a struggle, right? As we all do. And look at the way that she's looking at life. Every single day that she wakes up, she's so grateful instead of focusing on the negativity of her life, which is the seizures, right? She's like, well, even in the midst of these seizures, I get to wake up every day and rejoice and be so happy because I'm alive.
Yes. And you're still here, baby. You're here for a reason. Whatever it is, know that you keep coming. You keep being given this challenge. But you're so much farther ahead than most people. A lot of us see our challenges as sort of a setback. And what you don't realize is that challenges by nature are designed experience to give you strengths, understandings, insights, reflections that you can't possibly comprehend in the present moment, right? Yeah. So some things in life you sort of have to let play out because there's the lesson at the end of the road, right? For me, my biggest loss was, like I always say, my mom, right? But then my greatest strength in finding myself has been from that loss, because now I have something to prove to her and myself, right? And so talking about coping, which you mentioned earlier, ways to cope, right? First of all, feel the feelings that you're feeling.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's okay. You're human. You're crying. You lost someone. Feel it. Cry. Let it go. Right? Process it.
I always say feel first. You gotta feel first. We can't do anything. You know, we're human. We are filled of emotions. You know, like our spiritual energy. Like we have to feel. We gotta feel. Then make that. How can you observe what's happening if you haven't gone through it yet? It's like people want to skip the emotion part. Just be like, well, what do I have to do? I'm like, well, we won't know what you have to do until you felt what it is to feel that loss or whatever it is that you're going through.
You know, it's interesting, and we have some comments here. Don't give anyone else power over you.
Yes.
True to that. If they control your emotions, they control you. Yes, very true. 100, and then that's a great perspective to focus on the good. So my thing is, you know, some people would like this perfect, blissful, heavenly-like experience where nothing goes wrong. And I was listening to a talk the other day where the gentleman said something interesting. He said, imagine if you did go to heaven and everything was perfect. How boring would that be after a while, right? And so and it was a sort of like, what, huh? But it's the truth. By nature, the grass is always greener on the other side, right? Metaphorically speaking, we always are looking to achieve something that's in the distance, in the future, and not really in the present moment, which makes us sort of feel detached or feel like where we are now is less than where we should be. But the reality is this moment is as valuable as any other moment, right?
Yes. Yes.
So being present in this moment gives you the power and authority to dictate how you feel, where you are, and how you utilize each second of your life to get to a better place. But challenges will, by design, will build you into a stronger version of yourself. You will never find yourself leaving a challenge, hopefully, and feeling like you got nothing out of it. There should be something that you got. You know, at very least, if nothing else, you know that you're capable of surviving a similar challenge because you've already been through it.
Yes. What I always tell individuals too is like, look at all the shit that you've been through in your life, because we all have, right? And if you're here today, if you're listening to me and Eddie, if you are watching this live, guess what? You made it. You made it. Right? So it's just like we spend so much time focusing on what we didn't do, how we could have done better. It's just like, look at all the strides that you made in your life, all the hardships, all the times that maybe you were broke, heartaches, relationship troubles, what parent issues, family trauma, whatever. And look, you're here today just because we're not like super buoyant and happy all the time, but like you're here. You are
Yeah.
here. You've survived. You are a survivor. You know, and then you also, I always say too, like, and just to reinforce what you're saying, challenges are blessings.
In
Look,
disguise. Yeah.
they are blessings in disguise. Look at challenges in your life to be like, okay, world, whatever your higher power is, lovingly, right? Like, okay, okay, universe, okay, God, like, I see you. I see you. I don't know what the hell you're trying to teach me right now, but I'm going to take it and run with it. Like, that's the kind of attitude that I want individuals to seek, because, or like, so this is me in like my pumped up version, but like if we're sad, right? If we're sad about something, it's just like, you might just sit with that. Like, okay, I have no idea what this is going to teach me, but I know it's here for a reason. So I'm just going to sit on it. I know that the answer will reveal itself within time, and I will be patient.
Mm.
I will be
Mm.
patient to see what is this trying to teach me. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe next week I'll be like, oh, next month, oh, I see it now. I see it now, and I knew that I always would.
Yes, yes, yes. And so, and I'll get excited. There's so many ways we can go with this. So, but the first thing I want you to know is like, I mean, when dealing with loss, feel the feelings. We spoke about that. Know that these feelings don't last forever,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're happy, that doesn't last forever, right?
Correct.
When you're sad, that doesn't last forever. None of it really lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever, right? So when you know that this feeling too shall pass, right?
Yes. Yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
used to say stressings are blessings. Yes, my brother, I agree. They are blessings in disguise, because what you're looking for from life is on the other side of stress or adversity. All great things happen outside of our comfort zone.
Always.
Absolutely.
If you are uncomfortable, you are growing exponentially. So you should just, we should, I like to be uncomfortable. I don't like to be uncomfortable, but I know that when I'm uncomfortable, it's like, boom, new energy and new growth. I'm just sprouting, right? Like, just to come at me, challenges.
It's so interesting because, as a speaker and a motivator, like uncomfortable has become the new norm for me.
Yeah.
So for most people are like, Eddie, I always keep it real with y'all. Eddie, you're so inspiring. How are you always happy? And part of the reason why I wanted to talk about loss and grief is because I want to remind you all that I don't walk on water. I bleed just like you. I have feelings just like you. And yes, I can get on an Instagram video and cry a little bit because I want to show you that I feel those feelings too. You know what I mean? The difference, though, between Eddie 10 years ago and Eddie now is that years of meditation, practice, and learning how to cope better, I can get on a video and process this with you in a healthy way, right? Without worrying about how you think about it or how I look or whether or not I said something stupid, right?
Yeah.
But being a speaker puts me out there constantly. I'm constantly engaging with folks like you all, and it's uncomfortable because people bring their stuff to the table, and there's all sorts of energies you dance, and there's so much unknown, right? And I'll tell you now, after like 100 speaks later, and a year and a half later, 2 years later from releasing this book, I've become comfortable with the uncomfortable because uncomfortable has been so much better than what I thought I knew.
Growth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feelings are temporary. Yes, they are. You can handle them too, right? So that's the next thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
You got this. You've got this, and you don't even know you've got this. Folks, how many times do we get a challenge? Like, remove loss for a second. Just challenges in general that come along. A job opportunity. Uh-oh, you got to update your resume. Here comes those feelings of anxiety and fear and rejection and loss. Right, right. Oh no, did I say this bullet right on my resume? All those anxieties that come up, but you've got this. You've got this, right? You just have to get to the doing and being present in the moment and trust yourself. Ask yourself questions. How does this make me feel? Is this exciting? Does it shake me? Is the unknown what's shaking me? Then let me shift my filter from expecting the worst and hoping for the best, because a lot of us live by that principle, and I used to, and it's such a fixed mindset.
It's such a fixed mindset. Oh my goodness, we can go into that real quick, right?
Yes.
You want to go?
No, go for it. Go for it. This is Julissa's thing, fixing growth mindset. Go for it.
So when we say it is typical for anxious individuals, and I know because I used to be one of those people, right? Like, hope for the best, but expect the worst, right? Like, when you do that, you limit yourself. You Our thoughts are manifestations. Our thoughts are our perceived reality. So when we say things like, oh, I'm hoping for the best, la 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 la, I'm happy, happy, right? But I'm also expecting the worst, then are you hoping for the best? It's contradictory. Stop it. Stop
And
it.
you know what? And then we seek the validation too in it. What you don't realize is that what you call into existence. So now you give me, you know, she does like the science, and I do like the spirit
Yeah.
piece, right? So like you said something that tied directly into spirit, which was what you think you manifest, what you say you manifest, what you put your energy into, and words are powerful, folks.
Yes. Words are,
PSA moment.
oh my
Be
God.
mindful of your words. Do not
Yeah,
use them against yourself
they
or
should.
others. Speak positivity. Speak existence into life, right?
Yes.
How many times have someone said something and it had an energy that made you feel like shit,
Mhm,
right? So when
mhm.
you say, I expect the worst and hope for the best, what you're doing is just, you think you're protecting yourself,
Yes.
but your subconscious is saying, let me set up the worst so that I can remind myself of why I should stay limited
Yeah.
and why I knew it. I knew it. Things just can't go perfect for me.
Knew it because you literally manifested it. You know what I'm saying? That on a spiritual sense, and then on a psychology sense too, like science, like when your inner voice, what does he or she sound like? Is he or she a cheerleader? Is he or she always that blue person from the movie, the Feelings movie? Oh my God, I can't remember the name.
Debbie Downer, I'll just say that.
Inside Out. Yeah, the Debbie Downer. Well, the blue girl, right? So like, is your voice like always happy? Is she always sad? Is he always fearful? Like, what do they sound like? Because that is you. It is you, right? And when you prepare yourself for the worst, it's just like Eddie said, like, oh well, at least I knew this was coming. Like, no, guys, we want to hope for the best and work towards the best every single time. Every single time. And if you fail, okay, then we reflect backwards and we say, what could we done? What could have we done better? But if you accept the loss, it's like, ah, well, I saw it coming. Then you move forward to the next day. You don't do anything. It's like, what
Yes.
growth is there?
Remember too that not only are your feelings normal and that you're never alone when you're doing this, right? When you're going through loss, everybody has lost something, right? We've lost teeth, we've lost we've lost loved ones, we've lost our pens, we've lost things, right? Whatever. But knowing that, you know, there's strength in speaking about what it is that, like, processing this, and it may be, I talk about speaking positivity into existence, but if you are just processing your feelings, that's okay, right? And you get someone that you can trust, or someone who loves you, a sincere friend, and talk to them about it. Get these things off your chest, because if you
Right.
don't, you may feel like you've moved on up here, but subconsciously that energy is still stored, right? And I try to use like this cup analogy. It's interesting because me and Julissa have opposite versions of it, but they have the same message. So I always say, you know, you can't take in things into your cup, right? Your life force energy is like your cup. And
Right.
every day if you charge your cup, or if you empty it out from all the stuff from yesterday,
Right.
then you have an empty cup. So you can go through life and things can come into your cup and you won't overflow. Things will not begin to spill. You won't feel overwhelmed, and things don't sort of become too heavy, right? So make sure that you're conscious about emptying your cup,
Yeah.
right? Now, don't pour it on people, but but everything in balance, right? And
Yes.
then also the flip side to that, and I'd like to hear you talk about this a little bit too, Julissa. It's like, you
It's
know,
the
I have some family members that if you're watching this one day, don't be mad at me if you identify, but as a child, I watched people grieve the loss of loved ones through negative coping skills like alcohol, drugs, etc. Right, smoking a pack of cigarettes an hour. But now, 20 something years later, right? They're still coping, feeling, living, tasting, touching that loss like
yeah.
if it was yesterday.
If it was yesterday,
Right.
yes.
So my thing is process. My next thing that I want to say to folks, right, is process your feelings as much as you need to, but move forward for the person, not only for yourself, right, but if you really love that person that you lost, whomever it is, right, imagine how they would feel if they knew that you took your life and threw it in the toilet because of them, because they're no longer there and they're powerless to help you, right? They wouldn't be happy about it. Would you be honoring their memory if all you did was drank yourself into oblivion for 20 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? So
So,
like, process it, let it go, not let it go, but sort of put it as like a badge and of honor and of understanding and strength, and move forward from it.
yeah. So this is perfect because we could just go back into like the theme of like loss, like losing someone in your life, right? So Steve Harvey, I love that man. He says this quote where he's like, if you were going through hell, why would you stay in it? You got to keep going, like keep pushing, right? Like if you were in a state of hell, misery, sadness, whatever, like why would you choose to stay in that state? We want to recognize it, we want to acknowledge it, but then we want to move forward, right? So on a more spiritual sense, and this is also what I teach in my therapeutic practice as well. We have a fear. A lot of individuals have a fear of forgetting their loved ones. Well, before I get there, I'll go back to that. I'm going to write that down. I'll go back to that. I want to touch on Eddie's part first about like maladaptive coping skills, right? So like drugs and or alcohol. Okay, live your life, do what you do. You know what I'm saying?
It's a DSM, y'all. Maladaptive patterns of
Yeah.
coping as evidenced by the list of issues. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a red flag. Like if you are someone who drinks, there's nothing wrong with drinking, who smoke, nothing wrong with smoking, but like when you do those things, just where's your energy aligned when you're looking for that vice, let's just say, right? Like if it's the weekend, it's Friday, I'm literally buying margarita mixes this weekend because I haven't had a margarita in forever and I want a margarita, right? So
I'm not gonna lie, my birthday is on Monday.
I didn't
And I've already bought my margarita mixes, girl. I'm going to Fire Island in a couple of days, and I'm gonna just disappear for a few days. Margarita time.
know to get back on topic, right? So I can get
Yeah,
really
this it. Gotta be,
people.
we have to
Anyway, so like drinking and all those things, like fine, do your thing, right? But when it's coming from a place of hurt or a place like let's say work, right? Like, oh my God, work sucks. I can't stand this place. I can't wait till I clock out. I can't wait to get that drink. Like, red flag. Red flag because you're pretty much saying that like you can't cope on your own. My mom says happy early birthday. So you can't cope on your
Thank
own.
you.
Oh, the happy birthday wishes. Yeah. So you can't cope on your own. And you're saying that I'm going to utilize something else to help me cope. That's the dangerous thing, especially when that coping skill is not healthy,
Here's the
right?
thing too, right? From a chemical, and then to extend it even further, it's always interesting to me when people seek out things like alcohol specifically, right? We'll touch that. To I need that drink to feel better. So alcohol is a stimulant, right? But the
Mm,
reverse effect is the depressant aspect.
yeah.
So what you're doing when you're drinking is you're feeling really good, right? And then when the calm down comes down, you're no longer coming to this place of sort of like stillness and balance. You're now in recovery mode for your body's depressed. So
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're exacerbating the original
Yeah.
feeling.
Yes. 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 Such a great way. Yeah. Like it's, you know what's weird? It's kind of, I'll relate it back to anxiety. There's like a circle of anxiety, right? You have a trigger, you have, and most of us don't like to feel anxious. Who does? So we tend to avoid drinking, video games, phone, social media. We tend to avoid. I don't want to think about that feeling gross, right? So then we go into there you are. Can you see me? Sorry. Temporary relief mode. And then what happens is that time passes and whatever that original trigger was just comes back twofold because you never dealt with it in the first place. So like alcohol, right? It's a temporary relief. We feel good, we feel wavy, we're loving life, everything's great, right? And then the alcohol comes out of your system and you're now lower than where you
You
were.
feel double like shit.
You feel exactly like you're literally lower. So like as opposed to like healthy drinking, right, or whatever, like fun drinking, like you're having a good time, the alcohol leaves your system, you're fine. You're just back to your regular self. When you mix sorrow, anger, resentment, negativity of emotions after that, you're just exasperating it, like you said.
And then it hits you after Dali says, absolutely, yes, Doublefold, right? Because then you're back to the reality and I need an Advil or something, right? Like,
Or another drink or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Oh, that I'm sorry, I know judgments, but that always just kills me when folks are like, you know what, I'm gonna go have another drink to sort of balance out the hangover. No, this is the seeding breeding ground for addiction. But
Right.
but moving along, that's my case second me. The substance abuse counselor is like, no, don't do it. Even when, whatever. So I wanted to talk about too. I got my little notes here because I deviate and I have to keep myself censored. Yes, go girl. Look, it's all over the place. So um, when we're grieving, when we're losing things, we immediately start to, feel the woulda, coulda, shouldas make us feel almost responsible as if we could control the situation, which is not, this is most of the time not the reality, right? What happens in life is unpredictable, and this is the nature of the life experience, right? Everything is experience. Deviate from the notes for a second. So, if you knew, this is new stuff here coming down the pipe. Someone said to me recently, if you knew that everything that you planned, right? Julissa and I met before we were even born, spirit, right? And we had this great council meeting with, hundreds of other spirits. And it was decided that Julissa and I were going to come across each other's paths to do this, to enlighten others, to inspire, right? And then, your ex is in line up there, and he's like, I'm gonna fuck shit up in your life. I'm gonna make shit hard for you, and this is going to teach you A, B, and C that you can't possibly understand or comprehend from an intellectual
Yeah.
level, right? Because a lot of times we tend to believe that we understand, but then when we go through it, we really understand, right? And we learn. So the point is, if you knew that every challenge that was presented to you was already predestined for you, that it was already something you agreed to, right?
Yes.
This shifts things significantly because it changes the perspective from life happening at you to
Yeah.
you sort of being the driver of the car, right? You've got this GPS system that is your life, and there's a destination predetermined for you. And
Yep.
no matter how much you veer off the path, rerouting
Yes.
back onto the
Right.
lesson.
What you were supposed to do. I so believe that. This goes into like trippy, like science nerdy things, right? Of like, time isn't linear. If you believe that concept that time is not linear, I always say this too with like whatever your goals are, whatever your accomplishments are, like just know that that's already you, right? Like the Julissa that's here today versus me who was 5 years ago, who didn't think that I would have an online business and all the things. Like I already encompassed all those things 5 years ago. Right. So whatever I decide to become or whatever's in my path to become 10 years later, whatever, like it's already happening. It's today, this live with me and Eddie is part of that plan.
Right.
Right.
Right. And then also, we have the id, the ego, and the super ego, right? So you have like your primitive instinctual needs, right? And then you have this like need to be in control and dominant and right all the time, the ego, right? And then you have like the super ego, which differentiates us from animals, which allows us to sort of balance the two, right? Sort of meeting both the needs without becoming this like, Trumpish person. Um,
Yeah.
but so ego, I say that to say, a lot of this stuff, a lot of feelings will derive from an egoic standpoint. And so the more you understand that ego, you're dancing with ego, the more you can sort of step back and notice if these feelings are coming from ego or if they're coming from a place of love, right? Love, understanding, sort of acceptance. I don't want you to confuse acceptance with sort of being complacent,
Mhm.
and letting things happen at you, but really understanding that you truly can't control anything but what comes out of your mouth. Sometimes, some of us, uh, and what you do, what you choose to do, your actions are really literally the only thing you can control. Everything and everyone else is out of your control, and there's something really beautiful about that you should embrace instead of sort of letting ego drive to try to change.
Yeah.
You're always going to hit your head if you're trying to move the planet. You can't.
Yeah, fear to faith, right? Like there's so much science that proves this stuff. It's not just like faith, like spirituality. There's also science that proves this. Like it's both, right? Like when we can move, that beautiful concept of like being still and being at ease when you know that you really don't really control much, right? It initially it's like, wait, I don't control anything, panic, panic, panic. But then when you really think about it, it's like, well, you never have. And look how wonderful things in your life have worked out. Look how beautiful life is, and it was never in your control. So just that is a sense of like alleviation of like, oh, if I just learn to let go and trust that I'm going to be okay, and you can look at your past as evidence, as actual,
Mm,
you are be okay.
I
Then
can't tell you.
then
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, then we can really be in alignment with our highest selves, right? And I always like when people use these terms are being used so like it's wonderful, like it's becoming more popular. But when you align yourself, and I like literally envision like if I am aligned, right, like I am at my highest, tallest self, I can see more, I can understand more, right? And then the biggest problem that we come up with as well is like we think, and this is the depressive side of like losing things, we think we're in it alone. We were never alone to begin with. You thinking you're alone is like low-key disrespectful. Low-key disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Like you thinking that no one else can understand, no one else is going what you're going through. Like you're only isolating yourself, and to then further believe that because you're not going to talk to anybody else, which is the problem with depression, right? You're not going to talk to anybody else. So then that idea, that mindset of like no one gets me is only solidified because we're isolated. Then
Mm.
would have just talked to people and say like, hey, I'm going through X, Y, and Z. Like, oh my God, me too. I felt that before. And then we can connect and then we can heal. Like we're never, ever, ever alone in these things.
Absolutely, you're not alone. And you know, I like to think, I have no idea what happens to us when we move on, right? Spirit moves on, it either goes to another body, whatever you believe. But I'd like to think that the loss of loved ones is felt like a loss, but we don't understand death, and it's one of the things that is part of life, right? It's guaranteed. So one of the lessons I've been learning lately, I've been following Eckhart Tolle. He's one of my like super guru out of the 20 of them that I follow and stalk. But he's been talking about making death, becoming friends with death, which sounds really morbid and sounds really scary initially, right? But when you think about it, you know, it's the one thing that's guaranteed to us, and one of the biggest fears I think that we have as humans.
Yeah.
And when you just sort of embrace it as a part of the human experience, it's
Yeah.
something that you can't control, right? Then it becomes lighter. Life becomes lighter. And then the biggest, scariest thing is no longer the biggest, scariest thing. It is now a beautiful part of the process,
Yeah. And
right?
like acceptance. Acceptance.
Acceptance. And then so like how do we cope, right? Let's get back into, because you said this early on and we got like we're running out of time, and
Yeah.
we I want to give y'all some stuff. So if
Giveaways.
you've lost someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with material things, because I think people are like the ultimate energy. If you've lost a job, let's just say,
Okay.
which is relevant nowadays,
Yeah.
right? There's something else waiting for you. I promise you that. I don't
Right.
know how to explain it. I don't know. I can't tell you what it is, and we don't know what it is, but I can tell you this. It is leading you to what is for you. It is a part of that plan that we just spoke about, that divine plan that you set for yourself, and
Yes.
it is going to shift you into something else. A few years ago, I was serving in fine dining on Wall Street. Nobody knows about this because I didn't post about it. I didn't want to identify with that reality and continue to manifest that for myself. Now, I want to put this disclaimer out there. I totally respect, honor, and love servers and people who work in the hospitality business, because that work is fucking brutal. Okay, it
I
will
used
kick your ass. All right, you leave.
to, I was good at it, but
I was a badass server, but
yeah.
people are harsh, and I walked out of there emotionally distraught a lot. Not to mention, you know, the toxic work environments of working in a restaurant and industry in itself. But
Yeah.
I thought that making $750 a day in tips, making $1,000 a day in tips was the ultimate thing to do. Until 2 years later, I found myself with bad knees, bad attitude, hating people, hating my job, hating my life, right? And then I took the leap of faith into the unknown, which was the book world and independence, and taking all the stuff that I know and just sort of having trust that I'm going to be okay. I have to tell you this. I have worked 20-something jobs in my lifetime in different capacities, doing different things and all kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But This is the most rewarding, most relaxing, most comfortable thing I've ever decided to do for myself. And I'll give you even another example really quickly. 12 years ago, I was an intern at Public Allies, which is this not-for-profit that pairs you with other not-for-profits to intern and learn skills and stuff to work with diverse populations, to build equity for society. So I was partnered into an organization. I was interviewing for several organizations, and I went for one called Glisten. And I was really excited about this job. I was like, oh my God, I want this job so bad. You don't understand. Like, I need this job. So I went in there and I was like, I'm going to work hardest. And I did my thing in the interview, and I was sure I had that job. And then they gave me feedback on the interview, and she was like, we know you wanted the job, but you were way too salesman-ish. So we decided not to go with you. And so they pushed me. I was devastated. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I went home. I cried. I was like, I'm too stupid. I shouldn't have said this. I went too hard. I started beating myself up, right?
Yeah.
12 years later, completely forget about that. How many jobs later? I'm selling my book at a fair in Westchester, and I see Glisten tabling at the fair. So I go over to the table, and I'm like, I meet this beautiful woman named Mary Jane, and she says to me, I say, I'm an author and I'd like to work with Glisten in some capacity. And, she buys a book, and she tells me, I told her, I interviewed for you guys. I wanted to work for you so long ago, and I was so disappointed. And she's like, you won. You're an author now. But please, it's their loss. And for me, that was just like, oh my God, yeah. Like, and up until that moment for 12 years, I had considered that a loss.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, this just goes back to the theory of like the way things are going to work out is the way it's going to work out. Like, just let go and trust that it's supposed to be this way, but always fight, right? Like that inner you of like always wanting to be better, right? I hope that we can motivate that within you. Like, just keep fighting, because the harder you fight, the more abundance you will receive in so many different ways, not just monetarily. So let's do some coping skills. I know we're going to get cut off in a second. So coping skills, healthy coping skills, right, for loss. And so I will move. So that was like job stuff, right? And just like having the belief that like things are going to work out for you. People, should we move to people like loss?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I have a couple of them for people, but I'll let you say what you gotta say. You have some gems to drop.
Yeah, so I like to personalize this to every individual, because like everyone's loss is not the same. You could have been close to the person, you could have regretted that you weren't close enough to the person, that you were super duper duper close and they were everything to you. Like, whoever you lose, it's very individualized to who you are and what they mean to you. So one of the common traits that I see people in my practice like fear is that they're going to heal and forget. They think that healing means forgetting the person. I'm like, naps, absolutely not. I want you to remember them, especially if they were someone that was very impactful in your life and that you love, right? So for anyone who has lost someone, I will oftentimes encourage my clients to figure out a way that you can devote time to remembering their presence, whether it be once a week, once a month, a couple times a year, whatever. And like, you will be surprised to what you can do. And like Eddie said, like, I don't have the answers. I can guide you to find the best practice for you. And I'll just give some examples of my past clients who have done beautiful things. I had a client who lost her brother, and her brother was like a carpenter. He made tables, he made sofas out of woodwork, beautiful stuff. And his last thing that he made was like a coffee table, and his sister actually hated it, but she wanted to honor him. So and it was unfinished. So she ended up like brushing it down or sanding it and making it beautiful. And now it's a piece in her living room. So whenever she goes to her living room, she always remembers her brother. Right? Beautiful, beautiful things. Another client who was able to take her father's flannel t-shirt that he passed in and made it into teddy bears for her and the little family. Yeah, it was beautiful. So like, I want you guys to know that this can be a beautiful creative journey of healing. You're never going to forget them, and in fact, you want to honor them. You want to reflect on their lives and be like, thank you so much for teaching me X, Y, and Z, all the good and all the bad, whatever great traits they encompass. Like, make that is with, if they're a family, it's within you too, right? There's a connection there. So rejoice in all the things that they were known to be great for. And then if there was any traits that were not so great, it's okay. you will also take that information and be like, you taught me what not to do. Thank you so much for teaching me what to do.
You said something that's significant, and which is to talk to them, right? So
Yeah.
I know this may sound crazy for some folks, but I promise you it's not. It's healthy processing. Talk to them as if they're there. Not, I mean, and I want to, maybe not a
Yeah.
full-blown discussion where they're actually responding to you, but 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 actually like a full out, like, talk to them and just process the feelings that you have. I've heard, folks say to
Yeah.
me in sessions, I lost my loved one. We were together for 30 years, and there are times that I yell at him and I cry and I'm mad at you. You left me,
Yeah.
and it's deeply powerful to hear that. But for him, he said, I felt their presence in those moments. I felt them almost like comforting me and responding to me in weird energetic ways,
Mhm.
right? Um,
Oh,
so you could definitely, I agree with that. Keep the memory of these folks alive in different ways, right? So one of the processes is not necessarily to let go, but sort of spiritually letting go, something representing letting go. So one of the things that I always tell folks is, like,
mhm.
if you're having a hard time letting go of a feeling, channel that into something that you can actually physically let go. Like, they have these lantern lamps. You've probably seen folks using
Yeah.
them. You
Yeah.
can write down the name of a loved one and personalize a message to them, and use it as a symbolic sort of gesture to let it go and free them into the universe, right? Keeping pictures of them around,
Yeah.
right? Bringing flowers to their grave, whatever, whatever. Do a video montage. Start a discussion with family members about good times and memories with this person, right? Bring up those good feelings, honor them. And
Yeah.
if nothing else, for
Mhm.
me personally, what works is living for the both of us. The one gift that you have that this person no longer has is life, right? You are here, you're able to experience. And if maybe that person wanted to go bungee jumping, let's just say, or jump out of a plane and they never got to, well,
Mhm.
perhaps it's time for your heart to come out of your ass and
Yeah.
go do that.
Yeah.
Go do that, because what you'll do is you'll live for the both of you, and you'll
Yeah.
feel so much better about yourself and about the situation.
Yes.
It's like, this one's for you, mom, dad, bro, sis, cuz, friend, whomever. This one's for you. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
I love that.
Um, and so I guess we'll sort of start to close off, because we have like 9 minutes, and Instagram is really tough. They don't give you a timer to do these live. They'll cut your shit off, and you can't save the video. So for us being able to preserve this for you all, I just want to say, process it, feel it, taste it, touch it, do what you will with it, but make sure that it's healthy for you, and make sure that it's something that you can be proud of later on. You're going to be proud of later on, and that the person that you lost would have been proud of you as well for doing, right? So not taking everything and throwing it in the toilet, but maybe sort of building this beautiful new art masterpiece called life, with the mess, what seems messy, what is perceived loss.
Right.
Because what we perceive as loss is usually a gem in the making. And so I want you to know, I will shut up now. I want you to know that you have limitless light, love, and potentiality. I say this all the time, and I will always leave you with this. And when you know this, you know that if you chase your dreams and you have faith and trust in yourself and your ability to do the things you don't even know you're capable of, everything else will unfold. The miracles will start to present themselves to you and manifest for you.
Right. Right. I want to let people know. So on a like follow up, right? So like me, even as Eddie and myself are talking today, like I just thoughts were coming in my head. I'm like, this is so perfect. That's what I kept thinking. Like, this is so perfect. Energy, my energy, like we just mesh really, really well together. There's no like power of like speech. Like we both just like flow so effortlessly. And like there's something to be said about like energy, right? So healing energy. I know that I was put on this earth to heal, as Eddie can probably resonate with that as well, right? And so for anyone listening, whether it's live or whether you catch it on Eddie's Instagram later, know that like if you're just like damn, I like these two people, or just like, wow, like I just vibe with them so hard. I even, you know, you guys got to see our comical side too. Like we have good energy. So if you vibed with us, please join us. We're doing these things free. So to give you guys a taste of what this is, I'm being so serious, guys. Like me and Eddie have not even planned. Like we pick a topic and we just come here and shoot the shit.
We're literally just talking with you guys. We haven't provided you with the tools, the resources that we would in our programs.
Yeah, the reason because we did not plan this. I'm just like, oh, that's a great topic. And let me just continue that. Like, it's so just effortless with me and Eddie. So if you enjoy this kind of conversation, like just know that we have a mastermind for healing trauma specifically planned for you that is going to actually be in the works, that we're actually going to be planning and having strategic organization to that to help individuals heal. So if you like our vibe, if you like what we're doing, then please join us next week, well, in 2 weeks, which would be, I think, our last live, right?
Yes, we have one more Happiness from Within discussion. It's going to be part 4. So definitely bring your light love. Join the discussion.
Right.
And then we will be announcing the mastermind, the Happiness from Within healing program, which I'm really excited to do with you, Julissa. I want to thank you also for coming on with me and doing this with me, because you are super busy like myself, and she is not bougie, y'all. She makes a lot of money doing what she does, and she's coming on here giving y'all racks worth of insight for free, giving her time, love, and energy. So I appreciate you for joining me on this journey, and I look forward to doing that that mastermind. I want y'all to join us. If you like this video, or if you know someone who has lost someone and could benefit from the information we discussed, please share it with them.
Yes.
If you yourself have feedback on what we should be talking about, or something we said that triggered a thought, a feeling, or emotion in you, please process it. Talk to us about it. DM us. You know, comment on this video, and definitely subscribe and show love. If you're interested in the mastermind that Julissa and I are going to do, we have limited slots we're going to be doing, so definitely let us know so we can put you on the tentative list and sort of pre-plan a slot for you, so we can get a better, we can bring it to people who want it. Last announcement. LECHEweare is a free mindfulness platform for people who want to become more mindful, be better versions of themselves every day. I do giveaways there. I do events there for the community. One of the events is coming up next Saturday, not tomorrow, so the 25th of July, 5 days after my birthday. We will be doing a mindfulness hike with Outer there as part of the mindfulness hike series. The last 3 have sold out, so thank you to everyone who's been coming up, showing out, meditating with each other. We've been having some really deep spiritual sort of experiences. So I invite you to join us. There are limited slots there. Those tickets sell fast, so definitely go get those tickets at outerthere.com. Follow Julissa Edwards Counseling, because she is dopeness manifested in a beautiful lady. She happens to be cute to look at too. Okay, but she's married, so keep it cute. And that's it. That's all I have to say. I want you to have a happy Friday. Enjoy. Celebrate my birthday for me, without me, with me. Let's go. I love y'all. I'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
Yes. Love you guys. Thank you so much for engaging. And yes, I hope to see your beautiful faces in 2 weeks. And we have so many good things planned for you guys. So we will see you then. We love you. All right, guys. I am off this. Gonna have some breakfast, late breakfast.
Time to turn up. Happy Friday, y'all. Peace.